What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning. Where's Skip?
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
He's going to take in this moment.
You earned it. It's your day. You know what? I can't even be mad. I can't even be mad.
Here we go.
I can't even be mad.
There is one man in sports you do not bet against. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr., who now has more rings than any NFL franchise. He's got 7 in 10 tries. I don't want to ever hear again on this show, Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom. No, he's not. The GOAT is the GOAT is the GOAT. Thank you.
You know what, Skip?
Start the show.
I can't even be mad at you today after what they did last night, that demolition. I can't even be mad, Skip. I want to be upset.
I'll just give you this. I like your bow tie.
Oh,
that's all I got.
That might be the only positive compliment we hear all day. Yeah. Skip, what an entrance. You deserve it.
Yeah, you deserve it. He deserves it.
About the Super Bowl yesterday, so let's dive in. Despite being an underdog, Tom Brady, as Skip said, he won his 7th Super Bowl in his first season with the Buccaneers. Tampa controlled most of the game and never gave up the lead after going up 7-3. Brady finished with 3 touchdowns and just over 200 passing yards in the win. Patrick Mahomes couldn't get the Chiefs' offense moving and threw 2 picks without finding the end zone once. So, Shannon, what is the biggest reason the Bucs won this game?
Tampa Bay's defense was outstanding. Skip, I talked to Derrick Brooks last night, the great linebacker from the
great Derrick Brooks.
Hey, Brooks, he called soon. I think the clock was ticking down and my phone rings. I see D. Brooks pop up. And I was talking to him, and he's like, man, that was an unbelievable. You had to see it to believe it. I said, Brooks, I'm watching the game. And I said, it's going to be hard-pressed for me to see a scenario in which a defensive team had a more dominating performance over historically great offense in the Super Bowl than what I saw tonight. I said, if you go back and you look at the 86 Giants, Skip, what they did to the K-Gun and Jim Kelly, you go back and look at Coach Belichick's team, what he did against the greatest show on turf. Mm-hmm. You look at what the Bucs did against the Raiders. Rich Gannon was the MVP that season.
Yep.
Skip, there's nothing like this. Mahomes had never not scored more than at least 20 points. Mm-hmm. He was averaging 30 points in the games in which he started. He couldn't get the ball in the end zone. And what came to fruition, Skip, I said, I was concerned because you lost your left tackle, you lost your right tackle, you took your right tackle, put him at left tackle, you put your right guard, put him at right tackle, and then you had to bring a guy that hadn't played all year long in at guard, and it showed its ugly head. They played basically one coverage the entire night. Skip, they played cover 2. They played cover 2. And when you can play cover 2...
And rush 4. They blitzed the fewest times they have all year because they didn't need to.
And when they blitzed it, they missed it. They brought the guy, McCole Hardman missed the blitz, Skip. The guy came off his side, and he never turned around.
You're talking about the double corner blitz?
Yes.
They threw a double corner at him right away.
Out of cover, a single high safety. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they weren't expecting that, Skip. They didn't expect this. Nobody expected them to play exclusively cover 2. And the thing is about cover 2 defense, Skip, you can't throw a team out of it. You got to run them out of it. You got to force them to drop that safety down, and so you can get single high safety. They were unwilling, they got, for whatever reason, Andy just wanted to throw. And you got further and further behind Shaq Barrett and JPP, and then Ndamukong Suh looked like the Ndamukong Suh his first couple of years in Detroit. He started collapsing the pocket. They let those two inside linebackers float to the football, and it was good night, Irene. They did a great job. They got physical at the line of scrimmage knowing I got help over the top, so if I get beat, you're not getting deep because I got two deep safety shell. Skip, the defense was outstanding. Tom Brady did what he needed to do. Skip, there was not one throw where you was like, well, wow, that was a dart. Guys were just, they ran the ball just enough, Skip. You see Leonard Fournette, Rojo, and then the play action was wide open. Even the first touchdown to Gronk, what did they do, Skip? Play action, Gronk wide open on the slide route out the backside. Give the Bucs credit, Skip. I understand people say that's a home field. They could have played anywhere they wanted to play. If Tampa plays like they played last night defensively, they beaten Kansas City in Arrowhead, they beaten them on the moon, they beaten them in Africa, they beaten them in Russia. That was a total domination. Give the Bucs credit. Give Bruce Arians, give Byron Leftwich, and Todd Bowles. If Coach Belichick got his game plan sent to the Hall of Fame in 1990 for what he did to the K-Gun and Jim Kelly, every piece of clothing that he had on last night need to be in the Hall of Fame. Because, Skip, that was as great a performance you'll see against a historically great offense in NFL history.
I agree with every point you just made about Todd Bowles. Now, back to the question. I'm going to try to calm down and answer this as objectively as possible. The single biggest reason the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, and I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth, was that, number one, Bill Belichick pushed Tom Brady out the back door in New England. That was. Oh,
you going all the way back.
I'm going the biggest picture. You don't doubt the GOAT like that. You don't shame him publicly with stories from inside the Patriots that the whole coaching staff was down on him and thought it was time for him to go home and call it a career.
Right.
And then number two, out of nowhere, only 10 months and 14 days ago. Think about that. It was only 10 months and 14 days ago. Tom Brady shocked not just the NFL world, he shocked the sports world. He chose Tampa Bay, the Succaneers, who had the worst winning percentage for a franchise in all of sports. Tampa Bay, who hadn't made the playoffs in 13 years and hadn't won a playoff game in almost 20 years? Seriously? Yeah, he did that. But what did I tell you that first day? If you look hard at it, and you certainly agree with this part, they did have two Pro Bowl receivers. They did have Mike Evans. They did have Chris Godwin. And I told you right out of the box, they had a defense that came alive. The previous years, they fell to 7-9, but they came alive over the last 6 games because the last 6, they were ranked in the top 5. So the makings were there of a real live playoff defense that you couldn't see coming quite yet. And there were moments this year I couldn't see it coming because it was the middle of a pandemic. Tom Brady has taken his receivers to some park in Tampa and getting run out of the park because they're violating quarantine. There was no real offseason. There were 0 preseason games. And they tried to start to piece it together as Tom Brady tried to instill and install the Patriot way in Tampa Bay, as I began to call it. And they got off to an okay start. They got all the way to 6-2. And he said, no, we're not good enough. We have to go get my little man, Antonio Brown. Really? Arians is already on the record. Bruce Arians said, he's not a fit in our locker room. And Tom said, no, I'll vouch. I'll guarantee he will be a fit in our locker room. I'll make it fit. Yeah, I'll make it fit. And he did. But that first night that AB played, it was a Sunday night game, big stage, NBC game, against your arch rival New Orleans. You lost the opening day at New Orleans. It was the ugliest game of Tom Brady's career. He played the worst of his career. The defense played by far its worst game of the whole year that night because Drew Brees should have scored on his first 6 possession against that defense that did not allow Patrick Mahomes into the end zone one time in the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's impossible. And yet, they lost to the Rams, and then here came Kansas City, and they ended up losing to Kansas City. But I told you the turning point of the whole season was, if we could see it real quick, Tyreek torched them in the first quarter for 203 receiving yards. How many did he have in the first quarter last night? How about 0?
Yeah,
Zero.
I was going to say, did he have any?
And here he is. He, on the 17-0 TD, he backflipped into the end zone. He would pay for that. Andy Reid said after the game he didn't like it, but he backflipped. And from that point on, Tampa won that game 24-10. Now, they lost the final score 27-24 because the defense couldn't get Brady the ball back one last time with 4 minutes and 10 seconds left. But that ignited into take off. As I said, Brady started to bring that team to a boil. And what did they add in over the bye week? A little motion and a little of what Tom Brady feasted on in New England, a little play action, because they were featuring more of the run. They got Leonard Fournette more involved in the game. And all of a sudden, last night, he was 10 of 13 for 139 yards on play action.
Right.
He was lethal. All of his touchdowns came on play action.
Because what could they do, Skip? All of a sudden, they could run the ball, and you got to drop Honey Badger down. You got to drop one of those safeties down. And now you got Mike Evans running across the route, Skip. He's wide open. You get guy. And think about it, Skip. That's not Bruce Arians' offense. Bruce Arians is not a crossing route. He's a guy that's throwing the ball over the top of your head. And what they run? Shallow cross, deep cross. Now they turned that into Tom Brady's offense with a pitch of Bruce Arians' offense.
So as Fournette said after the game last night, Tom started group texting us late at night, we are going to win this game. We are going to win this game. We're going to win this game. If you have the GOAT at quarterback and you have a lot of young players, especially on defense in the secondary, and Tom Brady is saying, we can do this, you're going to buy it.
Right.
And they started to buy in because they got talent. It just needed to be brought together to take off.
Well, the biggest thing that you said, I think the biggest difference, look, there's no comparison between Jameis and Tom Brady. But, Skip, when you're asking your defense to play 35, 36 extra possessions, because you figure Jameis threw 30 interceptions, he had 5 or 6 fumbles.
That's
30. So that's
35 turnovers.
So you're asking your defense. So now Tom doesn't turn it over. If you look at it, Tom doesn't turn it over nearly as much. So when they come back on the field, they're fresh. They're hungry.
So what happened right on schedule? They took off December to remember, and here they go as an 11-5 wild card team on the road to Washington. Number 2 defense. You know the rest of that story. Then they go back to New Orleans. That's the number 4 defense and your arch rival and your nemesis. You know the rest of that story. Then they go up to Lambeau to play Aaron Rodgers, he was the runaway MVP at that point. And that was the number 9 ranked defense. And you know the rest of that story. And the reason that happened was, Aaron, 38-10 in Tampa to get to 6-2. So they went with great confidence up to Lambeau that some young teams would not have had against Aaron Rodgers. And then Brady converted 3 straight 3rd and longs in the opening drive to go up 7-0. And that set the tone at Lambeau. Here came Mahomes. Here came the baby GOAT, if you want to call him, the kid that a lot of people think is already better, the greatest quarterback ever, greater than the GOAT, Tom Brady. And what happened? Brady took it personally. He had 2 people that he wanted to show up last night, and that was Bill Belichick and that kid. Nothing personal, but he just wanted to show you, at 43, I will outplay Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and he did. He had a QBR of 82 to Patrick's 50. Patrick had a long, hard night, and obviously all credit to the defense, all credit to Todd Bowles. But Tom Brady was magnificent last night, taking what the defense gave him. Because remember, Spagnuolo's had his number before in the first Eli Super Bowl. So what happened right out of the box? Well, Mike Evans is doubled. Chris Godwin is doubled. What if I told you on Friday, Mike Evans will wind up this game with 1 catch for 31 yards? You say, that's not enough. What if I told you Chris Godwin would have 2 catches for 9 yards? You'd say, boy, they're in trouble, right?
Well,
no, they were not in trouble because Tom says, okay, if you won't give me that, do you remember this guy named Gronkowski?
Yeah.
If you're going to single him all night, I'll show you what I can do with Rob Gronkowski, right? Is he too old? Watch this. And I thought it was very telling that Tom Brady said, I went and got 3 people for this team. I got Gronk, I got AB, and I went and recruited Leonard Fournette.
Right.
Were they not the 3 key pieces on offense last night?
And all those are the guys that scored your touchdown.
That's what I'm saying. They were the 3 featured players last night. I made a case that it wouldn't have shocked me if Fournette had won MVP, and he was really good last night. Hey, because he caught it. What did he catch it? 4 times for 46 yards, and he ran it 16 times for 89 yards. Those are MVP-like numbers.
Yeah.
I'm still fine with Brady winning it. It's almost like Brady got it for the whole season, just for what he recreated in Tampa.
I think the thing is, Skip, you couldn't give it to the defense because so many guys played well. You get Devin White have 12 tackles, 12
tackles.
2 tackles
he had
for loss.
8 solos and 2 for. Okay, you could have gone that direction.
You got Shaq Barrett that was wreaking havoc all night, and Ndamukong Suh. So many guys played well on the defensive side. It's like, well, okay, but Tom, like I said, I don't have a problem with it, Skip. Tom did 21 of 29, didn't have spectacular numbers, but he made every throw. The thing, Skip, if you look at it early on, the first drive, they go 3 and out. And everybody's probably thinking, Tom, you got to make that throw to Chris Godwin. But Tom Brady understands in a game of this magnitude, turnovers, you play double.
No risk.
I'd rather punt this football away than be a little late and it gets pick 6, goes back the other way.
Totally agree. Remember, Tom Brady led the National Football League in deep passing this year because that's what Bruce Arians does. He had led the league in deep passes, 20-plus yard completions, in the postseason until last night. And what happened? Brady has no ego. He doesn't need to put up big numbers. He knows what it's all about. In the end, the only number that matters is 7, as in rings. The only numbers that matter are 31 and 9 on the scoreboard. And again, he's going to give all credit to Todd Bowles and the defense, to Devin White and the defense. But he knew that it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to throw a party to win the Super Bowl unless it's necessary to do so. And it was not necessary last night.
Skip, you remember we talked about this. I said, Skip, the team that normally loses the game has a decided advantage because we know what we did last time didn't work. The team that won the game, Skip, why am I changing anything? We did it. I'm surprised Spags did not blitz more than what he did. It was almost like you're expecting me to blitz. We're going to play it conservative. No, you couldn't get you got that pressure one time. You got him down one time. Other than that, Skip, he was able to go to his second, third, even his 4th option. You can't give that guy that kind of time. And Skip, and I've told you this, what does Brady like to do right before the half? What is his MO, Skip, right before the half? He's going to take a shot play. He's either looking to get the big catch or a pass interference.
Always.
Every single time.
It's his trademark.
Jeez. And what did he do?
He got a pass interference on Breland, who was beaten on the play.
He was, Skip, first of all, I don't even understand why Andy Reid wouldn't even call a timeout.
Well, he called 2 in a row.
First of all, Skip, if it's 3rd and 12, I get it. But you're going to call a first down 3rd and 2?
To Gronk again.
You're getting the ball coming out of the half, Skip. You're going to get the ball back. Go into the half 14-6. 14-6, 21-6 seems almost insurmountable. And I know we got Mahomes, we can come back. But if you look at the way that defense was playing, Skip, every time you go 3 and out, they gain confidence. They got more and more confident, more and more confident. And what did I tell you? When they got into the red zone, they closed the door. When Tampa got into the red zone, they were 3 of 5. But they got 21 points out of their red zone possessions. Kansas City got zilch.
So just for those who might have just casually watched the game, can I show everybody and remind everybody just how much Tom Brady featured Rob Gronkowski last night? And you cannot tell me that this wasn't in the game plan from Tom Brady because this was for Bill Belichick, to me. Here's the first touchdown.
Play action, slide.
Let's slide. There you go. Okay. That'll work. That gets you started.
Play action.
Here's the second one. I thought that was Brady's best throw of the night. That had some mustard on it. And Gronk broke his route and came back inside. This is the 3rd and 2 play you're talking about. That saved that drive at the end of the half that made it 21-6. And that's the one down the middle.
That's your guy.
That's
you
your
see
guy.
Honey Badger like Sorensen. What are you doing?
That was the play before Fournette broke loose. And that really broke the game open early in the 3rd quarter.
Correct.
Okay? All right. Now to your man, Mahomes boy, Patrick Mahomes. I have all the respect in the world for him. Tough kid. playing a little hurt last night. I don't know if he was laying it on a little thick between plays, limping around, but he might need some surgery on his big toe. He has a turf toe.
Yeah.
Obviously, down his 2 tackles. He was pressured 24 times last night.
The most in Super Bowl history.
In history, and Brady was pressured 5 times. So I'm going to give you all the above. I still thought he was pretty shaky by his stand. He was shaky. He missed a couple of throws early that I thought were open that could have changed the game or saved the game.
The McCole Hardman, Skip, they ran cover 2, and on that sail route to cover 2, you can't throw it like a single high safety. You got to throw it between the numbers and the hash, and he put it out there too far. That was a play you got to make. Yeah. Kelsey dropped a key 3rd down. Skip, and when you look back at the time that you do these things, Skip, you don't really think about it because it's so early in the game. Oh, we'll get an opportunity. But it's plays like that that gets you an opportunity to get momentum, to stay in rhythm, to keep you on the field. They go 3 and out. Boom.
Okay.
And
Mahomes said after the game it was the worst beating he's taken since high school. He has to go all the way back to high school.
Yes.
So it was interesting to me. My wife, Ernestine, comes in after the game. She's a casual football observer, likes basketball more than football. But her reaction was, I thought Mahomes was great. He looked really bad. Yeah. And our producer, as he said, his mother called after the game and said, gee, he looked really bad.
Yes.
Well, they made him look bad.
They did.
But I thought by his standards, people making the case he's already the GOAT, he's had 2 subpar Super Bowl performances. That's just me. Just for the record, I don't want to pile on because he didn't get protected. And as you know, any quarterback who doesn't get protected can be made to look awful.
As Brady gets the first giant Super Bowl. Skip, but you know what, Skip? He had an opportunity. Tyreek, he had 2 balls to hit the receivers in the face mask.
He did.
In a game like that, Skip, especially when you're down, you got to have somebody just make a play. Somebody makes a play and gets it going. If you remember the Super Bowl of 28-3, guys started making plays. Edelman gets a ball. The guy almost intercepted. Edelman takes it off the guy's shoe top. 3 guys around him and makes a play. You got to just have somebody make one play for you, Skip, to get it going. And I thought if he could have got somebody to make a play, Tyreek makes that play, maybe we're having a different story. You see Kelsey dropping this on 3rd down.
He did.
You got to have those, Skip. You got to stay on the field, especially and give your defense a break. But Skip, the dude was running for his life. I mean, he was taking the snap, and at the snap of the ball, the right tackle was already beat. At the snap of the ball, the left tackle was already beat. I was like, bruh, it's going to be a long night for you.
So it'll be very interesting to see how he and that team bounce back from finally losing. I told you the whole back half of the year, they're on borrowed time. They're on borrowed time. Do they have 9 lives or 10 lives or 12 lives? And last night, it finally caught up. They weren't as prepared. They weren't obviously as hot as the Bucs were.
Skip, I think the biggest thing is never in a million years did you think a team would line up in a specific coverage and stay in that coverage.
Yep.
That's what they did. And you got to tip your hat. You just got to tip your hat to them and say, you know what, guys? They balled out. Tyreek said, Todd Bowles did his thing last night. He's like, I'm not giving you anything cheap or deep. And the thing is, a lot of the routes that Kansas City have interwoven into the offense, somebody's getting deep. Well, Skip, if I'm playing cover 2 and you can't get deep, if I can just make you hold the ball for just 1/10 of a second, well, I ain't even got to do that because you can't hold up against Shaq and JPP.
So, what's my favorite Tom Brady stat? He had won 6 rings with 6 game-winning drives in the 4th quarter overtime. Guess what? He finally had a Super Bowl blowout that did not require a game-winning drive. You can argue the game-winning drive came in the 2nd quarter.
The game-winning drive was when they went 7-3.
Yeah.
You know what the game-winning drive was, Skip? When Kansas City cut it to 21-9, and Tom Brady got the ball, and they went right back down the field 28 and said, y'all ain't doing nothing today. The day is our day.
I'll give you that, but I thought the game-winning drive was at the end of the first half. As Michael Vick said about the Green Bay game, they won the game on that throw to Scotty Miller.
You talking about when they caught Skip? I said, Andy shouldn't have called timeout.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, he should. I said, I'm telling you. Because what's going to happen is Tampa Bay was content, Skip. Tampa Bay was content to just go into the half with a 14-6 lead.
Yep.
He's like, oh, y'all call it timeout? Well, let me see if we get this first down. And then what do they always do if they get a first down, Skip? Right before the half, they take that shot play. Now, they did it against Green Bay. You didn't learn your lesson. They did it against the Vegas Raiders. Scotty Miller caught 2 touchdowns. He's looking to get a big play or a PI.
Yep. By the way, Scotty Miller had 0 targets last night. That's how deep they are at receiver. Final point. I got really bad news for you Brady haters out there. You better get used to him.
He said he's coming back.
He said he's coming back. He said last week he might play, 3 more years. And they are set up for him to build a second dynasty in his career from New England to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I think, again, Fox Bet has them a slight favorite over Green Bay to win the NFC next year. Wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe we'd see a rematch here if these guys can get back up off the mat.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. But the point is, Tom Brady's not going away anytime soon.
Well, you know what? And the thing is, they're probably going to be able to. Chris Godwin's probably going to leave via free agency. He's a free agent, Skip. Shaq Barrett has played himself out of Tampa. Someone's going to throw a king's ransom at him. But I believe they'll be able to get AB back on the cheap. They'll be able to get Gronk back on the cheap. I don't think anybody on the offensive line is up.
No.
Devin White, Levante David, he probably might have played himself out of a situation. Mm-hmm. But Skip, they're talented. They're young. The secondary is all intact for the foreseeable future. They're on the come. They won the Super Bowl, and they're still on the come. But, Skip, you can't commit the penalties. I tweeted early in the year. I said, they commit too many dumb penalties. Oh, but we winning. But what happens, Skip, when you're not winning? You're in a close ball game, and you get 15 yards unsportsmanlike. You lined up offside. You got 3, Skip. You lined up offside on the field goal. They take the field goal off the board and go get a touchdown.
While Tampa Bay was committing very few penalties,
Would
which
they have
is
3?
their way. Yeah, would they have
3 for 15?
Yep.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy. The Brady haters were out in full force last night, complaining that the Bucs got some favorable calls in their Super Bowl win last night. There was a defensive holding call that nullified a Brady interception, an offsides on a field goal attempt that led to another Tampa touchdown, and a couple other pass interference calls as well that went against the Chiefs. Social media was on fire about all this. Shannon, how much of a break did Brady and the Bucs get from the officiating?
Skip, I thought it changed some of the way the game was going. But Skip, I still believe the Bucs was winning this game. I believe the Bucs were the better team last night. And if they play another 10 times with the same lineup, the Bucs are going to beat them another 10 times. They just can't protect Patrick Mahomes. Skip, I mean, you got 8 penalties for 95 yards in the first half, and the penalties led to a bunch of touchdowns. You get Chris Jones hitting the guy in the face right there in front of the official, 15 yards. Now, that did lead to a goal line stand, but you get lined up for a field goal. You got 3. Mecole Hardman lines up offsides. They take the 3 off the board. They get a touchdown. It was a ticky-tack. You get a long PI right before the half, spot foul, and then Honey Badger gets a PI call in the end zone, put the ball at the 1-yard line. That's a touchdown. Great whip route by Antonio Brown. Brady does a great job of throwing the ball, keeping it low so it doesn't get popped up or intercepted. The Karen gets batted up into the air. Really, of all the calls, I didn't think The Mike Evans called the end zone, Skip. I don't think he could have called that. The ball hit the back wall. So unless he stretch Armstrong, I don't think he's catching that. I thought the one on Ward with a little ticky-tack, the one Honey Badger ended up picking off. But Skip, they were doing it. It just, for me, considering how they let them play in the NFC Championship game, and then the way they called it was totally different. I don't know if they call a game like this in the regular season. They called this really close. And normally in a game like this, I remember playing in the Super Bowl my first 2 times with Mike. Mike, like, they're going to let you play. So don't expect to get the calls that we would normally get. Don't expect that. Brian Billick, when I was in Baltimore, said the exact same thing. They're going to let you play. I don't think they let them play as much as I would have liked to have seen. But Kansas City was committing the fouls that were called against them. You can't line up off sides. It's as simple as that. The mistakes that you make, you just can't make those mistakes in a game of this magnitude. Playing a team as hot as that with a quarterback like that. So, for me, Skip, it was not luck that these penalties were called. Luck goes to the prepared. What's happened when preparation meets opportunity. Tampa, I want to say this again so everybody out there can understand. Tampa was the better team last night. That's why they won.
Okay, that is very big of you to acknowledge that publicly. I appreciate that. The point of this discussion is that there was no late game-changing call. There was no Saints-Ram uncalled penalty that vaulted the Rams into that Super Bowl a couple of years back.
Or the Green Bay call on 3rd down and short and gave Tampa the first down.
Okay. None of that happened. All the calls happened in the first half, but late in the first half. And I'm going to try to be incredibly objective about this because the Brady haters have some points here if we go through them. But the first one was the tipped interception that came on a 3rd and 4 play at the Kansas City 32. This was with 7:55 to go in the second quarter. And tipped, and Honey Badger gets it. And he was crushed because he wanted to pick off Tom Brady, obviously, and it got nullified. Okay, so there's
I don't know if I'd call
Charvarius Ward. There's the tipped interception. Okay, they were clutching and grabbing all night long, and I thought they did let them get away with some of that. That one was pretty blatant to me, and Mike Evans is such a load because he's 6'5", 2 whatever he is, 235, and they do, it's the Shaquille O'Neal sort of syndrome of they let him beat on him a lot. But that one, he was grabbing, holding, pulling on him. And whoever, the ref on that side said, I can't let you go that far. And so that negates that intercept. I didn't have a problem with that penalty. Okay, now we get to the offsides. They call it on Mecole Hardman, but it looks to me like Antonio Hamilton is also offsides on this. There's the tipped interception. Here's the field goal play. I think it was a double offsides, but the official play-by-play says it was Mecole Hardman coming from the top of the screen, but it looked like that Hamilton lined up offsides to me. So I don't have a huge problem with that.
He lined up offside.
It just looked like he lined up. Do they sometimes let that go? Sometimes,
Skip,
but it's the Super Bowl.
It's the D Ford play. Remember in the AFC Championship game, he landed up offsides and it negated an INT.
Okay, and so that leads to the 17-yarder to Gronk. Okay, for the 14 to 3 touchdown.
Correct.
Okay, then we get to the sequence at the end of the half. Okay, to your point, it's 1st and 10 at the Tampa Bay 42 after the 2 timeouts, and you say, well, you know what's coming. They're going to try to get one deep. Okay, so could this have gone uncalled? Brashard Breeland, again, I just thought...
He got his feet tangled.
It was incidental. Well, he hits his back with his hand. He caught him on the heel. Okay, well, that's pass interference to me because I don't think Mike's going to go down without that. And if you say that ball was too far, well, if you let him run all the way through it, he's 6'5". I don't know. Maybe if he keeps going, maybe he's got a chance to lay out and catch that. Okay, I'm throwing the flag on that one. I got no problem with that. Okay, so now we get down to the goal line and we get the Honey Badger play. And I am with you on this one. I probably would not have called this one. Again, did he have hands on him? Yeah, he did. Was the ball way overthrown? Yes, it was. The call gets made before
Skip, look at this.
Clear.
I ain't gonna catch that, Skip.
No.
And Honey Badger does the great thing. He doesn't let him cross his face. He said, look, if you're going to hit me with the fade, okay, you got me. Okay. But I'm not going to let you cross my face.
By the way, that was a max blitz. Everybody's coming. Brady had to throw it off his back foot and just throw it up for grabs, hoping that 6'5" would get there. I would have let that one go.
So would have I.
Okay.
But that might have been the only one, though, Skip.
Okay. I got that. But then it comes down to that set up the touchdown play, which was 1 yard to Antonio. And who did they victimize on that play?
Honey Badger.
It's Honey Badger. So they make the little in and out move with AB, and he throws it low so he can go down and snatch it at the turf. Okay. And Honey Badger didn't like it. And he had something to say to Tom about it. Here's the low throw that is his trademark down inside the 5. Okay, and then they get into it. And I don't know who started it. Brady wanted to finish it, and then, no, Honey Badger comes over, and he waves a finger at him. Okay, to me, I might have thrown 2 flags on this play. I might have, because they were both hot and heavy into this. Okay, so then, it escalates into what we're about to talk about after that. But the point is, I thought that was a two-way foul.
Right,
okay?
Because once Honey Badger leaves, you can't allow another guy to go chase him down and get his last say in. Because it's normally the last guy that does something, Skip, that gets caught.
Okay, so it's always who swings back.
Right, the second guy gets caught.
But I'm not sure who swung first.
Right.
They're mouthing at each other. That's okay. But then it escalates to the point. Tom goes to him. Then he comes back and wags his finger.
Right.
The only blatant, the finger wag came from Ty to Tom, right? Okay. So that got called, and I thought it was unfair. Brady didn't get one, too.
Right.
He deserved it.
I totally agree. Now, Honey Badger did tweet. It's just deleted.
We'll
talk about that.
To talk about
but Skip, look, I've always said this about the Chiefs, and it was concerning because you repeat negative behavior.
You do.
And a lot of times you repeat it in the most inopportune of times. A game of this magnitude. See, Skip, when you did a personal foul penalty and you up 30-10. Man, we winning. But what happens when you're in a close ball game or you're down by 7, you're down by 10, and you do these dumb things and you keep drives alive? Mike Shannon, man, look here. Mike Shannon used to tell a lot. He say, dumb players get you beat. Dumb fouls get you beat.
They do.
You do dumb things, it gets us beat. So for once, I want you to think about this. Instead of you getting him back, let's get him back on the scoreboard, and then you have your say at the end of the game.
Why did Andy Reid get let go in Philadelphia? What was his reputation? That he was a little soft, that he was so much a player's coach. He loved his players so much that they weren't in great condition and that they weren't mentally disciplined to avoid these kinds of penalties. So Jeffrey Lurie finally said, I got to go in a new direction, and that was to Chip Kelly, who's supposed to come in and crack down, right? Okay, well, we know he had his moments for a while. But the point is, Andy got another shot in Kansas City, and I'm sure he changed some things, but I think in the end, he is who he is. He has offensive genius about him, and they do a lot of things offensively that are revolutionary. But again, he often had a reputation, except for the great Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, that he has no focus on the other side of the ball. Well, he needed Spags, and he needed the late great Jim Johnson to be his coordinators.
Skip, the way I look at it is that when your team gets a lot of penalties, one or two things is happening. Either you're coaching it or you're condoning it.
That's right.
Now, which is it? That's all I need to know. Which is that what you coach? Is that what you condone? Because there's no possible way you can continuously get these type penalties in these situations. It cost you a chance to go to the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
It did.
And here it is. You get in the big game and you repeat.
It's who Andy Reid is.
Well, yeah, you got to change it.
Take the good and the bad.
Well, the good is good when it's really good.
It's really good.
But what happens when things are not going so good?
Agreed.
Okay, well, you guys mentioned it, what happened between Honey Badger and Tom Brady. So let's dig a little deeper into that. Tyreek Matthew received an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after sticking a finger in Tom Brady's face following a Buccaneers touchdown. The Chiefs' safety tweeted after the game that Brady, quote, called me something I won't repeat. Honey Badger later deleted the tweet, and during his post-game interview, he brushed it off and said both players were just chirping a bit. So take a listen for yourself.
I thought I played as hard as I can today. Listen, Tom Brady's a great quarterback. I never really saw that side of Tom Brady, to be honest. But whatever, no comment. It's over with. I'm done with it.
Okay, he's done with it. Shannon, are you surprised by how Tom acted here?
I am. I'm not surprised that when Honey Badger got in his face, Brady had what he had to say. But when Honey Badger started to run out the field, Tom tracking him down, that's totally out of character from the Tom that we've seen. Now, we know he's not going to back down, but I thought the following and to re-engage, that's something that we haven't seen from Tom. So I am surprised that he did that. I want to know what precipitated this. Obviously, I think I got me an interception of Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. All of a sudden, it gets negated.
Yep.
And then they come back and they run a nice whip route on me for a touchdown.
Yep.
So I don't know what was originally said by Honey Badger to get Tom to react the way he react.
It had to be pretty strong.
Yeah. So so like I said, if Tom is not going to say what was said. Honey Badger says he's done with it. So I don't really know, Skip. The only thing I can say, I agree with you with what your original statement was. This should have been offsetting for unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Yep.
I don't think Tyrann Mathieu should have got one. When he left, here come Tom Brady. That's fast. I haven't seen Tom move in a long time, too, Skip. Because he wanted to get whatever he wanted to say.
He did.
He wanted to make sure that Tyrann Mathieu got an opportunity to hear it without any delay. So I am surprised that Tom got so heated and it escalated the way it did. So without knowing the context of what was said, I guess you just chalk it up as the emotion of the ball game. It's the Super Bowl. You just got another score on us, and so now it's 21-6. And for all intents and purposes, it doesn't look like we're going to be back-to-back Super Bowl champs.
Okay, as ugly as this got for a few seconds, I was happy that the spotlight shone on this, because what do I always tell you about Brady that I think most people can't quite grasp? He has an alter ego I call Psycho Tom. Deep down in there, there's some cold-blooded killer going on. It's Jordan-esque, but he camouflages it during the week in this Tom Brady, the dad next door, the lame, cliche.
This nice little package.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just... It's scary to me to see the off-the-field Brady versus that guy.
Well, Skip, because the thing is, you see him show up to the game. He got his sunglasses on. He got his nice Tom Ford jacket on. His nice Tom Ford jeans. And he's walking. He's looking around like, oh, my goodness, he kind of weird. And then like 2.5 hours later, you see him do that. Like, hold on. Where's the guy that just walked in with the sunglasses on?
If you push that button, Psycho Tom will come out. And when he comes out, we're talking about crazed competitor, where I think he loses his head for a second and he wants to fight. If you want to fight, he'll fight you. Now, again, I don't know who would win that fight. He's 6'4", but probably Honey Badger. Because Honey Badger is nicknamed that for a reason, because you know what the Honey Badger...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. But the point is, something got said to him from Tyrann Mathieu, and I don't know what that was, that detonated a response from Tom that was out of character. I don't know what it was, but it wounded Tyrann Mathieu so deeply that he said, I'm done with it in his postgame, but then he went and tweeted about it.
Right.
And then he thought, oh, God, because I'm sure he was scanning down the responses on Twitter.
You know how that goes, Skip.
It does.
Anytime, because they don't, I think the biggest thing is that when you look back at it, I don't want to give an excuse to say this is why we lost the game because they threw 15 yards on me and didn't throw 15 yards on Tom Brady. You don't want to make any excuse. They played better than we did. Like I said, Skip, we were talking about this. I'm trying to figure out what was said. What did Honey Badger say to Tom Brady that Tom Brady says, hell no. You think I'm going to let you run up the field and get that one in on me?
Nope.
Oh, no, sirree.
No, sirree. So I'm going to read Ty's tweet again that he quickly deleted, and it was out of emotion. And I want to preface it by saying these two players, trust me, they have huge respect for each other. Huge respect.
Totally.
But they both lost their head for a second, and he tweeted, he called me something I won't repeat, but yeah, I'll let the media throw me under the bus as if I did something or said something to him. Go back to my previous games against TB12. He calls him TB12, which is a sign of respect. I showed him nothing but respect. Look at my interviews about him. I show grace. Well, I believe all of the above. Yes. But he had said in his post-game remarks, I never really saw that side of Tom Brady, to be honest with you. Well, then he's not watching enough tape, because I've seen that repeatedly in New England, where he lost his mind, ran all the way to the end zone to get in front of the kid from Pittsburgh's face after he'd guaranteed back in 07 that they would win the game at Foxborough. Remember that one?
Right.
Okay, that guy can come out when provoked.
Right. I think what Tyron is saying, Skip, is that I've shown nothing but respect. I've never been disrespectful. The guy in Pittsburgh said, oh, we guarantee a win. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to get me a pick or whatever he says, Skip. And so Tom Brady says, oh, no, you're not. As a matter of fact, one of the first touchdowns we go is going to do a flea flicker over your head. And so he's making it known. Tom throwing the ball and he takes off running. He almost beat the guy that caught the ball in the end zone, because that's how upset, because he thought about that all week. So I think Tyrann Mathieu was saying, well, hold on. I've never shown the man anything but respect. I don't really think I said anything out of character. I didn't say anything about his wife, about his kid, about his parents. So I didn't think it would warrant a reaction like that. But for that man to take off like he did after Honey Badger, something had to be said that pushed the button that nobody has really pushed in Tom before.
How many times have you seen Brady get so crazy competitive that he ran all the way to the end zone to headbutt Gronk after a touchdown catch in New England, right?
Yes.
What quarterback does that? Nobody ever does that, right? So, again, don't be fooled by the guy off the field who's just flat out corny, cliched and corny, because that guy doesn't exist while he's playing quarterback. It's almost like, as I wrote on FoxSports.com, he is the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, because he's just nothing but sheep's clothing until you push and then he'll bite.
Well, Skip, it would be the equivalent if we saw Steph Curry, somebody hits a jumper, and Steph Curry traced the guy all the way down the field and like put his head to head, like, what?
Right.
So to see Tom, Skip, because Honey Badger's jogging out the field, Tom picked up the pace. No. Oh, I can't let this go.
Did you happen to catch the huddle at the end of the game? Could you hear? Oh, you weren't listening to the sound.
To the sound.
Could we maybe hear what was happening? Now, they're about to kneel down the rest of the game, right? And this is Brady in the huddle. No, we can't hear the sound right now. But the truth is, you can hear he is F-bombing, screaming at the huddle, as if the game is still on the line, because he's so out of his mind competing, obviously against Belichick and Mahomes and history, that he's screaming F-bombs in the huddle as if the game's not over yet. Like, they're going to kneel. That's before a kneel down. What?
Yeah.
Before a kneel down? What are you doing? It's Psycho Tom.
Skip, did you see the New England Patriots congratulated Tom Brady? Congratulations to the GOAT. Coach Belichick says, I want to know who sent that tweet out. He's going to no longer be, he don't work for the Patriots anymore. You're not going to congratulate somebody that's not on this, is in this organization.
You think Belichick watched this game?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You think he cringed at the end of the game?
He shouldn't, Skip, because he's never gave Tom the offensive firepower, with the exception of that year and a half, 2 years, when he had Randy Moss. But Tom Brady, and I said this, Skip, Tom Brady has never had this kind of offensive weaponry at his disposal.
Not
now,
ever.
Now, it took him to the ripe age of 43 to get it, but he got it. And so, Coach Belichick, you cannot be mad. If someone leaves a relationship and they get something that you could not provide in that relationship, how can you be mad at that person? You can't be mad, Skip. I left for a better opportunity. I asked you on several occasions, this is what I need you to do to keep me happy in this relationship. Coach Belichick either could not do it or was unwilling to do it.
That is true.
So don't be mad at Tom for going on and finding him a new boo and living happily ever after.
So, at the end of the game, I tweeted, eat your heart out, Belichick, if you have one. I don't know if he has that.
But you know, Skip, now I think they're like $45, $50 million, maybe like $40 million on the cap. You know he gonna spend all Mr. Kraft's money. You know he going all in this year, right?
And meanwhile, Tom Brady, who was the greatest bargain in the history of sports this year at $25 million base.
No, he's the greatest bargain in sports history ever. all the pay cuts he took.
No, what I'm saying is he signed a 2-year deal at 25 and 25. Watch him say, I'm going to extend, but I'm going to take even less money.
Yeah, they probably go ahead and say, this is what we're going to do. We'll extend you another 2 years. We'll give you like $55 million bonus money, and then you play for like $5-10 million. But that's what's going to happen.
And maybe that would give him a chance to keep Chris Godwin. Maybe.
Yes. If all things being equal, I'd rather keep Shaq Barrett. Because I can get Antonio Brown to replace Chris Godwin at a bargain price.
And remember, Scotty Miller's still there.
Yes.
Tyler Johnson's still there. They did nothing last night.
Yes. That's what I would do, Skip.
I normally like your relationship analogy, Shannon. I just don't know if Bill's happy for the guy. I think there's a little jealousy
Well, you can't be disappointed because you couldn't get a man what he needed.
Well, you move on. You don't celebrate the wedding. You're not happy for them. I think you're a little bitter. I think he was watching a little bitter last night, and I would have loved to see the visual of that. No mercy. After a failed fourth down attempt by the Chiefs late in the game, Buccaneers safety Antoine Winfield Jr. got in Tyreek Hill's face and flashed Hill's signature peace sign and got flagged for taunting. After the game, Winfield explained why he did it. Take a listen.
The taunting, man, it's something I just had to do. When we played him earlier, Hill went off on us. He backflipped in front of my face, gave me the peace sign. So it was only right that I gave him the peace sign right back to him. At this moment, it felt amazing to be able to do that. Not even gonna lie.
Oh, I'm so happy for him. Skip, did you have a problem with Winfield getting a taunting penalty here?
Shannon, I loved it. And in this instance, I completely condone it. Usually I'd say, no way. I'd be the first one to say, what are you thinking? And by the way, we talked about they got 3 penalties. I'd forgotten about that when they had 4 for 39, but that's 15 right there. That's the 4th and the last one.
Right.
Obviously, the game had been decided.
Yes, it's over at that point.
And as I kept telling you last week, I felt like the entire Bucs season turned around with that backflip, if we could see that again, because this backflip came on the 17-0 touchdown 10 weeks ago on this very same field. And he had gone off, as you know, for 203 yards receiving in the first quarter. Impossibly great. And last night, they got even with him. They held him to 0 receiving yards in the first quarter last night. He got a few here and there later in the game. Nothing that mattered.
Empty calorie yards, Skip. I don't count those.
So, to me, if you trace back to the backflip, their whole season changed because over the last 3 quarters of that game, 10 weeks ago, on that same field, November 29th, on Thanksgiving weekend, Tom Brady threw for 313 in the last 3 quarters. You can say they're empty calorie garbage yards, but he got them all the way back to 27-24. And if the defense had gotten him the ball back, I believe he would have won that game because he was on fire in the fourth quarter with a 75-yard touchdown drive and a 73-yard touchdown drive.
Right.
The defense fell back slowly but surely into cover 2, and they started saying, nope, we're not going to come after him anymore. We're just going to play the pass.
Right.
And as you pointed out, late in the second quarter, Shaq Barrett finally got loose, and he blindsided Mahomes into a fumble that kind of saved the game at that point because they looked like they were about to go in for 24-0 at that point, remember? And yet, to me, Tampa figured out Kansas City over the last 3 quarters. Oh, we can do this to get that. Right. We can do this on offense, we can do this on defense, and we can play with these guys. So whatever good vibes they had off 27-24 loss began to reverberate through the back half of the season, or the last part of the season, because remember, they had the latest bye week in the whole NFL, week 13. And this is a brand new team in the middle of a pandemic. Great things happened in that bye week. I believe that Tom Brady sat down with Bruce Arians and said, hey, coach, you got to lay off me publicly. It's just not fair to me. And it doesn't help us because you're undercutting my leadership ability, because when you blast me publicly, the team's saying, well, I don't know, is he the GOAT or is he washed up, right? And so Arians became good cop from that point forward. And then from that moment on, from the backflip on, they played nothing but great football because they won out. They won all the rest of their games.
Skip, for me, I didn't have a problem with it either, and you know it's coming. You know it's coming. So if you play somebody in the regular season and you play them again in the playoffs, if you beat them in the regular season, whatever you said in your press conference, whatever you've done, Skip, remember last year when Tennessee the Mark Ingram thing?
Yeah.
Big trust, the guy that's coming to the stage, D. Henry, King Henry. If you got a problem, the best running back in football, you got a problem with that, come see me.
All right.
So you know that's coming, Skip. I wanted to tell Tyreek, when he did what I did on the sideline, says, come help these people.
Yeah.
That was in 1996. That was against the Patriots. We lost in the divisional round to Jacksonville.
You should have let him know that.
That was the very year. It was too late, Skip. He had already done it.
So when did your phone call come?
That happened in the regular season.
At what point?
Probably like week 7, week 8 in New England.
Somewhere mid-season at New England.
Kind of like that.
Okay, and you said on your phone call what?
I said, we need, the Patriots need Mr. President, can you see in the National Guard? Because the Patriots need as much help as they can get because we're killing them.
Okay.
And you know, it just took off like wildfire. Skip, that's what happened.
Okay, and so Tyreek borrowed your...
Yeah, he borrowed. But I don't know if he really... Obviously, he didn't know that it didn't end up so well for us. But next year, we went up, so maybe next year they go back and repeat. But, Skip, I agree with you. I don't have a problem with it. You knew it was coming. If they was going to win, so whatever you said in your press conference, whatever you did on the field, I'm surprised if they'd had somebody that could have backflipped, I'm sure they would have turned the backflip.
Who can do that? Not many.
I was thinking AB might be the only guy.
Maybe.
But I'm afraid that, you know, at this juncture, he might not be able to do it. But that's just how it goes, Skip. That's how it goes. You know, hey, now you see everybody doing Steph Curry shimmy when they hit a three, or they do it. So that's a part of the territory, comes with the territory. I don't have a problem with it. But Tyreek knew it was going to come, and you're going to see more of it.
Yep.
But the question I have, Skip, moving forward, is that the blueprint to how you stop Mahomes? Is that you play cover 2? Because they don't have a guy that can run the football. You feel very comfortable being able to stop their run and say, we're not giving you anything cheap or deep, and we're going to make you nickel and dime your way, and can we get pressure? The question is, how effective is Eric Fisher going to come back with that Achilles injury?
Yep.
And is Mitchell Schwartz coming back? Because, Skip, I don't care who you got at quarterback.
Yep.
Without those 2 tackles, you're not doing anything.
It's funny, though, early on, I thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was gashing him. He wound up 9 for 64.
But that was in the second half.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. All the first half rushing came through Mahomes through the scramble.
Yeah. He wound up with Mahomes had 33 yards on scramble.
Yeah.
Not fatal kind of yards.
But Skip, every time he tried to throw a pass, he had almost 500 yards on scramble yards before he threw a pass or he was sacked. Let that sink in.
500 during the...
Yeah, so he was running around.
Yeah.
They was counting up the yards as he's running around.
500. He covered 500 yards.
500 yards,
okay.
yeah, before he threw the ball or was sacked.
Okay.
That's normally what they do they keep stats like that, Skip, on when guys are kick returns or punt returns, he's zigzagging. Not the quarterback throwing a pass. That just lets you know he was running for his life.
Yep.
But you, Skip, you knew that was coming.
Yep.
I was just like, you know what? Somebody gonna hit Tyreek with the peace sign. I don't know when it is, but it's coming.
Yep. So Antoine Winfield Jr., his father obviously was a very good NFL player. I don't know if you played against him.
I'm sure we did, Skip. I'm almost certain we did, because I think we played Minnesota. We played Minnesota in my last year, 2002.
Yep, okay.
We played him, so he would have been there.
So he was a second-round pick. He's 22 years of age. His fellow safety is Jordan Whitehead, who I wasn't sure would be able to play, but he played. He's got a bum shoulder, which didn't seem to come into play. He could still run. Those two safety, he's 23. So you got a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old playing cover 2. And they're coming of age right before your eyes, because Antoine...
Dean might not be but like 24, 25. Carlton Davis like 24, 25.
They're 24 and 24. Yeah. Okay, so it's a very young secondary that is growing up. It grew up last night right before you... It got torched again and again during the regular season. All the way up to the game at Atlanta coming out of the bye. In the first half, Matt Ryan threw for 239 in the first half.
They might be a situation, Skip, where they might be systems guys. I would be very careful of those guys signing them, giving them big money in free agency. Because if I don't have pressure, if I can't get immense pressure, can they hold up on the back end like that without JPP and Shaq?
Okay, but everybody said on the defense that Antoine Winfield Jr. just took it over and became the quarterback of the defense and the leader of the defense.
He's sudden. He makes big hits. He makes plays. He's always in position. And that's what you need. Skip, it helps.
Who made the play of the game at New Orleans on Jared Cook?
He did.
That was
He
it.
did.
Game turner.
Skip, that's what
stripped him.
It's nice to have a guy that his dad played. And so from a very young age, his dad is teaching him how to read keys and what to look for in down and distance, area of the field, situations. So he understands. He has a unique knowledge, like THT saying that when LeBron is talking to him, I'm absorbing everything because no other 20-year-old is getting that information.
Taylor Horton Tucker.
Right.
Yep.
So he's saying, I'm getting information from my dad that very few people can say, my dad was an NFL corner. My dad did this, and he's giving me all the keys currently what I need to be a better player.
Which is why I don't have any issue with him getting a taunting foul because it was well-timed and message was resent.
Oh, the game was
Tyreek.
already over.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it was. I'd have had a problem with it, Skip, if it's a one-possession ball game and you got backed up, you put your team in a situation, but it's 31-9. There ain't no 20.
And that was 4th down.
Yeah,
so he knocks down the pass, and it's like game over.
Ain't no 23-point plays out there in the NFL, so I don't have a problem with it, and you already know it was going to come. So, hey, you got to eat that one, Tyreek. But we'll get them next time.
Yep. Well, will there be a next time?
Oh, they're going to be back. Oh, they'll be back. They'll be back.
Tampa Bay's going to be back,
Maybe
but
back. No,
I don't know. NC's got a long mountain to climb here.
They just need to make sure them tackles are back, but they need to get a defense. They need to get somebody to go opposite of Chris Jones.
No mercy. Well, in just his first season with the team, Tom Brady has already brought a title to Tampa. Buccaneers controlled much of last night's 31-9 Super Bowl win, and Brady is poised to keep winning, saying after the game, quote, "We're coming back. You know that." Oh, we do know it, and I personally love it. Shannon, how do you feel about it as Brady started his second dynasty in Tampa?
No, Skip, it's too early to tell. And if you make me say yes or no, I'm going to say no. There's a reason why no team hadn't repeated in 16 years, because it's hard to do. And you see injuries are a big part of this. So because we saw what happened to the Chiefs' offensive line, they lose basically 3 starters, and they're not the same team that they took to the Super Bowl the previous year. They're not even the same Super Bowl that finished the AFC Championship game. So injuries play a key role in this. A lot of things have to go well. The injuries during the course of the season. Now, I don't believe the pandemic. I think we're getting more and more vaccines in arm, and as President Biden was talking about last night, says, hey, I expect a packed house for Super Bowl 56. Hopefully that's the case, Skip. Where is Super Bowl 56?
SoFi here.
Oh, yeah. I got to be. Oh, we're going to be up there in SoFi. SoFi in the house. I will be right over there, SoFi. And plus, Skip, if you think about it, they got Shaq Barrett's a free agent, Levante David. I believe they might have priced themselves out of contracts in Tampa, although they might be willing to take less money to come back and compete for a Super Bowl. But Shaq Barrett, considering that he was an undrafted free agent, and I don't think he's going to leave any money on the table. Levante David, that might be something. And Ndamukong Suh, Leonard Fournette, Antonio Brown, Gronk. I believe a couple of those guys you can get back on the cheap. But, Skip, they only have 30 guys under contract for next year. The next closest to that is 42 in the NFL. So of their 53-man roster, only 30 are under contract. So who comes, who goes, it's so hard to repeat because the turnover is so great. Now, what we know right now, for the most part, all the coaches are coming back. Todd Bowles didn't get a job. Byron Leftwich didn't get a job. And so for what we can see right now, Skip, the coaching staff will be back in full.
There was some speculation that Bruce Arians, if they won this one, would cede the head coaching to Todd Bowles and maybe either be in the background or walk into the sunset. I think this was such a heady experience for him. At his age, he'd say, I got to take another shot.
Hey, Skip, you waited 68 years to get this position. Because you remember, Dick Vermeil did that, and he later regretted it. He came back out of retirement and ended up coaching Kansas City because he felt he made a decision out of emotion that was the wrong decision. So maybe if BA sits back a couple of months, Skip, but it's hard to repeat. There's a reason why there have only been a handful of teams in the last 30 years that's ever done it. Because it's so hard. The Cowboys did it, we did it, and the Patriots did it. So it doesn't happen very often. So if you put my feet to the fire today, I'm going to say no. You're going to have to see how this thing plays out. Who comes, who goes, and the injury history.
You do not have to put my feet to the fire for me to tell you, yes, He is starting his second dynasty. He's off to the races in Tampa Bay. First of all, I believe he chose Tampa Bay in part because he saw, wait a second, no team has ever played a home Super Bowl, and we got a shot this year. Even in a pandemic year, if we could turn this thing around, I could bring it to a boil by December, we'd have a shot. They took it, they did it, it's history. First team ever to win a home Super Bowl, the Tampa Bay Succaneers. Way to go. What did he say last week, Tom Brady? He said, we will be better next year. Can you argue with him? Because it's the second time around. He had to throw this thing together on the fly, throw AB in at midseason. There was no preseason. Everything had to be done in fast motion, and now it's all starting to click in place. Do you think Tom Brady will take it any easier next year than he did this year? Do you think he'll back off? Do you think he'll be taking days off? No, he won't. No. He'll be just as driven next year as he was this one. What's the other thing that's never been done in the National Football League? And I know I'm going to jump way out there on this one, but nobody has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, right? I thought you guys had a real shot, and your quarterback said no, right? And it shocked me because I thought, John Elway, you got to at least give your team one shot. But he'd hit the wall physically. He was done.
And the plus the thing is, Skip, the mental grind that a quarterback.
I know.
I'm not talking about any other player. I'm saying the mental grind for a quarterback to put that kind of time in. You hear Tom Brady saying Tom Brady starts study sessions on Mondays at 5 a.m., where he's been probably doing this for the better part of 13, 14 years.
Yep.
It kind of man, that's tough.
Okay, so I got you that there are these players who are still up in the air. You've got, obviously, Fournette. You're going to bring him back at what price?
Well, Skip, it's not going to be that much. Running backs, I mean, first of all, Derrick Henry did what he did and had a hard time. So what? If somebody's going to give me $5 million, or do I take 3.5 in Tampa? Okay. I take 3.5 in Tampa.
Yeah. And they still have Ronald Jones, who's only 24 years of age, former second-round pick out of USC. And then brings us to Shaq Barrett, franchise tagged. Now what? Well,
he's going to cost a lot of money.
Okay, he's going to cost a lot of money, and he's worth a lot of money.
Yes.
And to your point, he might be worth more to them than Chris Godwin is. So is that an either-or proposition? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But watch Tom Brady restructure on the fly. He's committed to one more year at $25 million base. With his incentives, he gets like 28. But remember, he was played this year at 45.
Right.
Okay? So he'll take way under market. He'll reduce, restructure, move money around, bonus money around, and it will give them some more flexibility. I think they're $30 million under the cap right now.
Yes, they are.
To sign one of those two, if not try to get both of them to stay. I believe Chris Godwin loves playing with Tom Brady, but again, he got his ring, so he might say, gee, maybe I got to get my money now.
Probably take the money and run because if somebody's going to pay a nice big raise for him. Shaq Barrett's going to be top 5 paid outside linebacker because Bud Dupree now with that injury is off the market.
Okay. What will Antonio Brown command on the open market?
Nothing.
I'm going to remind everybody, he's still got a civil suit hanging over his head, and they pushed it all the way back to next December before it's even going to get tried.
His only place is Tampa. He ain't going anywhere.
Okay. Well, he clicks with that quarterback. He loves that quarterback because that quarterback loves him.
Right.
So if he can get a little healthier, a little more in shape and more in sync with the offense, I think he's back. Okay, we just talked about how young the secondary is. It's all early 20-somethings across the board. But then you look at the front side, and Levante David's 31. If you look at Sue, he's all the way up at 34. But again, would he have a year or two? Sure he would.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And would Levante David have a couple of good? Yeah. You better believe it. JPP is 32. Would he have a couple of more good years? Yeah.
JPP playing better with 3 fingers than he did with 5.
Totally agree.
He looks like a different, and it just goes to show you sometimes, Skip, being in the right system.
Yep.
Because it's not like JPP is a different player. He can go. They let him do a lot of things. They let him stand. They put his hand in the dirt. They let him drop in coverage.
Yep.
So, but he played phenomenal, and that's the key, Skip. The key to that secondary being as young as it is is the pressure that up front they can generate with just 4. And when they bring an extra linebacker or bring both of those linebackers, they normally get home and they come and do it with bad intentions. Devin White has just put his name out there for everybody to see. Moving forward for the next 3 to 4 years, I need to be in the Defensive Player of the Year running. That's how good I am. Now, I know y'all didn't vote me to the Pro Bowl. I know, and Tom, that's fine and good, Tom.
By the way, he's still 22. 22? Devin White?
You didn't put me in the Pro Bowl. You didn't put me All-Pro.
Thank you.
But you saw everybody, the world got an opportunity to see what I can do. And you saw it in New Orleans. You saw it in Green Bay.
You did.
You keep seeing it. Now give me my due.
I didn't see it consistently through the regular season. I told you Pro Football Focus during the regular season graded him as the 68th best linebacker.
Skip, you sometimes, to be as sudden as he is, sometimes he's going to have some misreads because he's getting there in a hurry. So you're going to have some of that, Skip. But somebody got those 130 tackles, those 8.5 sacks. Somebody did that. It was him for a middle linebacker to do what he's doing.
Special. Very special. Offensive line, everything to Tom Brady. You have a right tackle who's 22 years of age, and he might have turned into the best right tackle in pro football because you don't hear his name called, right? The left tackle is very good. I'm not saying he's Pro Bowl, but he's very good.
He's not Bakhtiari, but he's good.
He's good, and he's 27 years of age. And then you look through the middle of it, that Kappa who got hurt and couldn't play the last couple of games, he's still only 26. The center's only 29. So they're pretty set in the middle. And obviously Marpet is 26. So he's a big time player. So that offensive line is going to be protecting like crazy over the next 2-3 years.
If you listen to Bruce Arians, and Gronk said it, this was a team that was ready to win. Bruce Arians said this was a team that was ready to win, but didn't know how to win. Tom Brady gave them the confidence.
He did.
This is what it takes to win. They bought in. Gronk says, I came here, I'm looking around. This team, man, they got the players. They can win. They're ready to win. And they were. Your quarterback just couldn't put them in harm's way as many times as Jameis was putting them in harm's way.
Okay. If Chris Godwin leaves, God bless him, I'm going to remind everybody that Scotty Miller, who I raved about last offseason, was really good this year. Brady loves him. He can fly. He runs a 4.3-ish 40. He got no targets last night because they didn't need him. They ran one jet sweep with him right out of the box, and it went -5, and that was the end of him. And I'm going to remind everybody, Tyler Johnson made some huge catches, especially a third down catch at New Orleans. Remember that one?
And got the PI in Green Bay.
And he got the PI in Green Bay that basically ended the game. Tyler Johnson got one ball thrown to him last night, and I don't know what was going on, but he wasn't looking, and it just went right by his hands. And that was the end of him for the night. So those two kids, they're just kids, are going to grow quickly in this offense. So would they terribly miss Chris Godwin? Well, they'll miss him a little bit, but not.
That's one of the reasons why you signed AB. Because I think you might be anticipating losing Chris Godwin. And now you got AB to come in. AB can play outside the numbers. AB played the better part of his career outside the numbers.
I agree.
So now if you put AB as a starter outside the numbers, you can alternate between Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson as your slot receivers. You're fine. You're going to get O.J. Howard back. Now, we don't know how that Achilles injury is going to affect him.
You don't know, but you want to talk about a stud? O.J. Howard is prototype, big, physical,
6'5",
and can fly.
250, could run.
Fly.
Yes. Gronk's going to come back. Gronk has already said, look, I want to run it back with Tom. Not going to cost you a whole lot of money for somebody of his character. And the thing is, Skip, if you notice what Gronk, you get that extra 2 weeks. See, the thing is, as we get older, Skip, it's harder to put them games back to back to back. But you give Gronk that 2 weeks off, he looked like a different player than what he looked.
That's true. And by the way, has any tight end ever blocked better than he does? Because he's so willing. He's like an extra offensive line.
And that was the thing, though, Skip. People don't realize how big Gronk is. Gronk's like 6'6", 265. But he and Tom just has a rapport. And he can just find the end zone like nobody I've ever seen. There have been very few tight ends. Gates could find the end zone like Gronk. But only Jerry can find the end zone like this in the playoffs. Only Jerry Rice can find the end zone like this kid. This guy, The kid was out for a year, Skip.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that he's playing with Tom Brady, but I don't care who he played with. You come back after a year and put the ball in the end zone like he does,
yep.
That's special.
Great.
Yes, he does.
So I think we just put down the blueprint for back-to-back Super Bowls, if not 3 in a row.
Skip. Injury thing.
I know how hard it is. You got to get lots of breaks.
You got to get a lot of breaks.
You need a call here, a bounce there, and the injury god's got to leave you alone.
Because the closest, think about it, Skip, the closest we came with the 49ers had a chance, and then Roger Craig fumbled the ball. The Giants got to kick a short field goal.
Yep.
That was the closest anybody's ever come.
Yep. You guys should have won 3 in a row.
I don't know, Skip. That was who wanted the that was the greatest show on turf.
Mm-hmm.
We had our work cut out for it. But they had their work cut out because we had an offense. Our offense was, we special.
But then you left, right?
I left in 2000.
Okay, went the next year. I got
it.
Well, here they come again, Jenny.
Seriously. Well,
they're going to borrow Kansas City's run it back.
Are they going to run it back?
Yeah, run it back.
Happen?
But, Skip, did you know who the favorite? Who they got favorite to win the Super Bowl next year?
Chiefs. Good.
Wait, that's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, we'll have to see. I love the Gronk-Tom connection. You know, they've connected 14 times in the postseason. You know, when he worked with us at Fox, he said, you look for a job when you already have one. So I guess his time off working with us, it did him well. He rested, he recuperated, and he is far from done.
Mercy.
Despite being an underdog, Tom Brady won his 7th Super Bowl in his first season with the Buccaneers. Tampa controlled most of the game and never gave up the lead after going up 7-3. Brady finished with 3 touchdowns and just over 200 passing yards in the win. Patrick Mahomes really couldn't get the Chiefs offense moving and threw 2 picks without finding the end zone once. Fox Sports NFL analyst Michael Vick is with us now. Mike, what a game yesterday. In your opinion, what is the biggest reason the Bucs won this one?
Jenny, it was an amazing game, and I enjoyed every minute of it on both sides for everything that transpired. But I think the biggest reason that this game was won, and I know we talked about Todd Bowles all morning. I know everybody's talking about Todd Bowles and the defense, but, you know, you got to give some credit to Byron Leftwich, too. And, you know, also Tom Brady. But I'll say this, you know, when they started to run the football, they came out in the first drive and they went 3 and out. And I think they may have run it once and they passed it twice. I don't know the sequence of plays, but I was saying to myself, this is the wrong formula. If they don't sustain a running game or get a run game going, they're going to give the ball to Patrick Mahomes, and this could turn into a high-scoring shootout game. Second possession, they run Ronald Jones. I think it started with Ronald Jones, and then Fournette, he finished it off. But the run game became existent. All of a sudden, the play action became evident. You know, it was there. It was, you know, something that they relied on continuously throughout the first half. And then they found the comfort zone, and that comfort zone was created by the play calling. And I think Brady benefited from it. I think the entire offense benefited from it. And then everything was just smooth sailing from there. Kept Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. It kept them off balance. They couldn't get into a rhythm, and especially the way they was wounded and then have the guys, you know, up front needed to win this game. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers did everything in their power to keep Patrick Mahomes at bay, and they did it right. So as much credit as we give Todd Bowles, and rightfully so, got to give a lot of credit to Byron Leftwich and the job that he did calling the plays for Tom Brady.
Well, you know, give Byron his credit, but none of this is possible without that defense doing what it did. They made Patrick Mahomes look like a very average quarterback. And over the 3 years since he's been starting, we know Pat Mahomes is anything but average. He looked pedestrian. He looked mundane. He looked confused. He did not look like the best quarterback in football last night. And think about this, Mike. They lined up in cover 2 and said, you can't beat us. And you know this as a quarterback. You don't throw teams out of cover 2. You run them out of cover 2. You got to force them to drop that safety down, because if they don't have to drop that safety down, they can get home with 4. That means they got 7 in coverage. Now, you got 7 in coverage, and they're forcing Mahomes to scramble around. It's not like he's running back there and they've got to find holes. He's running 10, 15, 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, throwing the ball off balance. He made 2 spectacular throws. I don't believe any other quarterback that could have made those throws. And he hit the guys right in the face mask with the ball. In situations like that, you got to find somebody to make a play for you. But Todd Bowles doing this says, you know what, guys? I believe we can play cover 2. I believe JPP, Shaq, Sue, those guys, Vita Vea, I believe they can get home. And we can get home without having to sacrifice the back end. You go back and look at history. Skip, I forgot about the Seattle Seahawks and what they did to Peyton Manning in that Super Bowl. That was another demolition.
It was.
But you have to put this right up there. Skip, they didn't get in the end zone.
Didn't score a touchdown.
Mike, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, they had it. I don't mean to cut you off, Shay, but I just think it was the wrong game plan.
Yeah.
By Andy Reid. And
you
we
couldn't
don't
run
see
it
that too often. Yeah, you couldn't run it because you had so many offensive linemen out. You couldn't pass protect because, the continuity on the offensive line, it was just gone. And look, I heard Skip say it earlier, football guys got to be on your side and the injury guys got to be on your side throughout the course of a season, and they lost that battle.
Okay, my turn. I've been trying to warn both of you guys about this team and this quarterback for several weeks on this show. There's just something about Brady in these biggest moments that he can lead a team by example and just by his mere presence to play at levels that are even over their heads. And that's what I saw last night. I saw a team that Brady's mere presence and leadership had been brought to a boil right on schedule. They were hotter, they're nastier on defense, they're more physical, and they were playing with more precision on offense than Kansas City has been playing with for about, 10, 12 weeks? Kansas City was on borrowed time. Kansas City was on its 10th or 11th or maybe 12th life this year because they just kept walking that tightrope, and Shannon kept saying, well, did they win? Yep, they won. But they didn't win convincingly. They didn't win in any spectacular fashion that they're capable of winning, while the Bucs had gone on the road against the number 2 defense in Washington, the number 4 defense in New Orleans, and the number 9 defense at Lambeau, and they kept scoring 30-plus points. And so I wasn't shocked they put up 30, but I thought this defense could do a number on Mahomes if they could get to him, which they did right from the start with 4. And as young as the secondary is, and it's a bunch of 22 and 23-year-olds, they just sat back and said, you will not get behind us. And I thought they reduced Patrick Mahomes to looking, as Shannon said, pedestrian. And this is my one issue. This is the flip side of Tom Brady is Patrick Mahomes. I know he's more fun to watch, but he gets away with, as Michael Vick will attest, to near murder at quarterback because he's throwing balls. He threw balls all night long last night that nobody would teach, nobody would coach, and he has such arm talent and such confidence in his arm that he almost gets away with them. He almost got picked off about 5 other times than he did get picked off twice. So I don't love that style of quarterback because it's too risky. And again, you can play that way when you're young because it's that blissful ignorance where nothing ever goes wrong. I'm going to be real interested to see how he bounces back from this one because this was the worst beating he said he's taken since high school.
Yeah.
Okay? So now when you know how it is when you're a young player and nothing goes wrong. Michael knows how it felt in Atlanta for a while. And then all of a sudden you have one of those games where you say, huh? Wait a second. That happened to me? Yeah, that happened to you last night. And maybe in the back of your mind, you're saying, I don't know if I can throw this sidearm. I don't know if I can throw this no look because you lose some faith because you realize they kicked your butt on both sides of the ball.
Skip, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he'll lose any faith. I think he believes that if I'd have had my offensive line, this game would have been totally different. If I have Eric Fisher at left tackle, if I have Mitchell Schwartz at right tackle, if I have the guy that opted out, the doctor, that opted out for COVID in Canada. If I have my guys, I like my chances to win this ball game. But because I didn't, I don't think he changes anything, nor do I think he should. Skip, he had to make those plays. A lot of that sidearm stuff, a lot of the things that he was doing yesterday was out of necessity. And when the offensive line, I mean, when you take you in the shotgun, and by the time you hit your third step backpedaling, and you got to dodge Shaq Barrett, or you got to dodge Dominican Sue, and you got to start retreating 20, 30 yards, it makes it very difficult for you to play the quarterback position, Mike.
Yeah, these are definitely uncharted waters for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. They haven't been through this type of turmoil or got beaten like this probably since he's taken over for Alex Smith. But, I look back at, just the sequence of games in the last, 6 or 7 weeks. The Kansas City Chiefs had 2 bye weeks, if you think about it, with the Super Bowl and then the bye week coming into the playoffs. And, I don't think that bodes so well for them. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they won the last 3. They finished hot, and then they went into the playoffs and then Breeze, they took out Breeze, Mahomes, and Aaron Rodgers, in a 4-week stretch. So, the team stayed hot. They understood and knew exactly what it took to win these football games, and they knew how to win. They learned how to win together. They gelled. And I think it was because of that stretch at the end of the season, they was able to go into the postseason and wreak havoc. And the Kansas City Chiefs was just the last and final team to get that beat down, and it was evident to the world last night.
Skip, they had 3 bye weeks. Remember, they took the last week off of the season.
They did.
Mahomes didn't play.
True.
Kelsey didn't play. Tyreek didn't play.
Okay.
Then they had the bye week, and then they had another bye week.
Okay. Now, back to Brady. I know the theme of the day is let's not give Brady too much credit. Let's give it to Leftwich. Let's give it to Todd Bowles. Let's give it to Devin White. I'm good with that because Brady doesn't need any credit. But I'm going to give him a little more than you guys have because the thing about Brady is he has no Super Bowl ego. He doesn't need to throw for a playoff record 505 yards because that lost him a game. He doesn't need to throw a party to show you that he's better than Patrick Mahomes. He just needs to win the game and win it convincingly. So what did he do last night? Well, they come out and they try to take away Mike Evans and they try to take away Chris Godwin. And he says, well, I got this old guy named Gronk who used to be called the GOAT. I'll just feed Gronk. I'll feed the beast and show you the beast can still beast on anybody. And I'll throw some to AB, and I'm going to throw some to my new friend, Little Lenny, and who's not so little, as in Leonard Fournette. And I will hurt you with those 3 if you take away my 2. As I told Shannon earlier, Michael, if you told me Mike Evans wound up with 1 catch for 31 yards and that Chris Godwin had 2 catches for 9 yards, I'd say, uh-oh. No, because he will take whatever you will give him and he will pick you to pieces. And he didn't turn the ball over and he made some nice throws to Gronk when they were utterly needed. Right. Everything that he did was right on time. So again, his QBR was much higher than Mahomes because he played a much cleaner game than Patrick.
Well, I thought the thing, Skip, was they were able to do because they were able to run the football so effectively, and now the play action. Tom Brady had more play action than any other time, I think, in the last 5 or 6 years. Yep. So he's tremendous at play action. Yep. So now...
He, by the way, 10 of 13 for 135 and 3 touchdowns, all play action. All play action.
Exactly.
Which didn't exist in the offense until they're late in the season by week 13.
So when you
Just say this.
Go ahead, Mike.
But go ahead, Shay, and then I'm gonna cap it off.
No, I'm just saying when you can do that, Skip, the play action is so what he's so good at is that you can go 21 or 29 for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, and not have the game like, oh man, did you see Brady? But the thing that Brady has learned to master is that you're right. I don't need 400 yards. If 200 yards gets the job done, 200 got the job done.
And by the way, he doesn't get enough credit. He's the greatest play faker I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He fools me sometimes with his play fakes.
Got him.
Yep. Go ahead, Michael.
And it's why Tom's the GOAT. And we will never witness, and we have to be thankful to be able to watch Tom Brady in this era play for 2 teams, 2 different conferences, win the 7 Super Bowls. We'll never see this again. I don't think in our lifetime. He's the greatest of all time. I don't think there'll ever be another quarterback, mark my words, to win 8 Super Bowls, unless it's Brady. He's the only one that can do it. I don't think nobody will ever get close. I think that conversation is over. I think we can slam the door on it. Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. And I think the next couple generations as they come, they can chase it, but they'll never get there. But it's certainly a great opportunity to be able to chase a man like Tom Brady. and all his accomplishments.
Well, you know what? In 40 years from now, somebody will diminish it, Skip, because it's like Bill Russell. We didn't see Bill win no championship. So they go, somebody go win like 4 or 5. Somebody go win like 4 or 5. Like, well, Tom, man, they wasn't playing no football back then.
They didn't even have face masks back then.
But you're right. But I just think the thing is, what's going to make it so hard, Skip? Tom has been to 10, and he's won 7. Do you know how many you're going to probably have to get to? Because what he did is winning like 70%. Normally, you don't win 70% of the Super Bowls that you play in, Skip, especially once you get to a certain number.
Yeah.
So somebody's going to have to get to like 11 to 12 just to have an opportunity. I don't know if somebody can get to 11 to 12.
It's when you actually sit down and think about it. You're right, Mike. Greatest of all time. We're witnessing history in the making, and it has been a pleasure to watch. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes not going to be happy about that loss yesterday. Was last night one of Patrick Mahomes' worst career games. Mike, we appreciate your time, and we'll check in with you soon. No mercy.
Black History Month is a perfect time to reflect on all of our black heroes. To change the world, you must first change your world. And no one has changed my world more than my father, Charles Vernon Wiley. A man who has seen a lot of change in this world, from a childhood in the segregated South in the 1940s to present day as a recent retiree after 45 years of service. No matter what would occur over the years, my father would highlight what should always stay the same, which is to focus on family as your foundation. In a world seeking to invent newer products and better things, it's important to recognize those who are simply committed to producing better people. Salute to my hero that showed me that more action comes with less words, and for highlighting the most powerful creator of change in this world, the foundation of it all that produces people of character, the family. Salute, Pop Duke.
All right, guys, Patrick Mahomes, well, he struggled against the Tampa defense, completing only 26 passes on 49 attempts and throwing 2 picks in the 31-9 loss. Mahomes did pass for 270 yards, but failed to find the end zone all game. So, Shannon, this is your guy. Please give Mahomes a letter grade for his performance.
I'm just grading this test. He's taken a lot of tests, and he's aced them, a lot of them. But this test, he failed. He got an F.
Oh.
There's no way around it.
Shannon Sharpe gives my homeboy an F.
No.
Love it.
Ooh.
Shannon Sharpe will always be fair. I mean, a lot of people think I don't like their team or don't like a certain player, but I'm going to call it like I see it. My homeboys failed this test. Now, he's aced a lot of tests in the regular season and the playoffs, but not this one. He got pressure. He was off early, and I said this had to happen. He needed to be off a little early, and he was. He missed a few throws. And then the pressure, it just started coming. He threw 2 interceptions. 6 times they got the ball to the 30-yard line of the Buccaneers, and they came away with 9 points. That's not good enough.
No.
He's too good to allow that to happen. And he never put Tampa in a situation where they had to do anything other than do what they were doing. Maybe if they can get the ball game tied up and they can say, no, we got to come out of this cover. He's found a rhythm. We got to come out of this cover too. But never made them. He never put Tampa in fear, and they were able to do what they wanted to do defensively. And it's just disappointing, considering how great he is and how I believe he'll bounce back. But the test last night, Super Bowl 55 test that was given to Patrick Mahomes, he got a failing grade.
Thank you for your objectivity, Mr. Sharpe. Maybe it's that bow tie today. I don't know.
Well, actually, I came out here to gloat. I thought I was going to be all, nice and deep. I would go town. And hey, you were sitting there with Tom Brady jersey.
I thought about borrowing your goat mask today because I think I deserve to wear it today.
You deserved it to go today.
But during the pandemic, that would probably not be a great idea.
Right. I'll get you your own goat mask.
You have preempted me on your grades because I was thinking going into this, well, I'm going to grade Mahomes as harshly as you always grade Brady. Yeah. When he loses, he's flunk. Yeah. F. Dak Prescott, F. Yeah. So I went all the way to a D as in dog for Mahomes' performance, and I thought that was over harsh, but you won up to me. But my point is, by his lofty standards, A lot of people have already put him on the GOAT pedestal, as in he's obviously eye test, greatest of all time. We've never seen anything like this. The arm talent, the no looks, the left-handed passes. I keep waiting for behind the back and between the legs. He's got the greenest light in the history of quarterbacks from the coach who went up in the draft, moved up in the draft to snatch him 10th overall. Yep. And it was a great pick because he has lived up as an MVP and a Super Bowl champion and MVP. Mm-hmm. But I thought he was subpar last year, and he got away with it with a late third-quarter interception in the Super Bowl against San Francisco and an early fourth quarter. They were down 20-10 both times. Then we had that fateful play on 3rd and 15 from their 35, in which I thought he basically just closed his eyes with a rusher right in his face and threw it up for grabs in the left flat, and Tyreek had to stop, come back, wave for a fair catch, and fair catch it for a 44-yard gain that changed the whole Super Bowl.
Right.
He was fortunate last year. He was up against a Garoppolo in the fourth quarter who went 3 for 11 for a grand total of 36 yards with an interception, missed Emmanuel Sanders with a late throw in which he had a step on the defender at the goal line, and it could have won the game. It could have changed the game. Mahomes would have gotten the ball back with a minute and a half left. Mm-hmm. Maybe he could have gone Brady and pulled it out against Jimmy Garoppolo last night. Right. This was Tom Brady on Tom's home turf. So my problem with Mahomes was he did miss some early throws. And I thought, because this kid's got guts, he's got moxie, I thought he started to flinch in the pocket a little bit after they got to him early. Mm-hmm. I thought he started, as they say, seeing ghosts and bailing a little before he needed to. I did not see him stand strong and say, I'm going to hit this quicker route to Kelsey or whoever it was, to try to maintain ball control, because he was like, I'm going to bail, I'm going to scramble, and I'm going to make the spectacular play.
Well, the problem is, Skip, is that in that situation, they don't have a lot of quick throws. Everything is to push the ball down the field. Yep. So he needs time to do that. And see what they're doing, when you can play cover 2 and you can drop 7, all the quick throws are taken by your 3 linebackers that's playing underneath.
And those 2 linebackers can really cover.
They can fly.
Because Levante was all over Kelsey much of the night.
Yes.
And I give him high credit for that.
Yes. So it makes it. Now, Skip, granted, I think you and I both believe that the test that Mahomes was taking was a little bit more difficult than the test Brady was taking, because the defense that Mahomes was up against was a lot more stiffer.
I will give you that. He was pressured 24 total times, which was a Super Bowl record. Brady was pressured 5 times. I'm going to give you that. He's down his 2 tackles, but he is so overhyped to me. He's on such a lofty pedestal that I did expect more from him, even under those dire circumstances.
I just thought, I expected more, Skip. I just thought there were some throws. And like I said, he didn't get any help early. And I think a situation like that, when your quarterback's struggling, sometimes, Skip, you just need to make a play for him.
So because they had roared back, obviously at home against the Texans, and roared back against the Titans in the AFC Championship game, and roared back from 20-10 down the fourth quarter against San Francisco in the Super Bowl, I'm still thinking, this is still going to be a football game, and it's going to go down to the wire as we entered the fourth quarter. It was still it was already 31-9 at that point, and there was a key play that caught my eye, maybe not yours. It was 2nd and 9 at the 11-yard line. So Mahomes has got it in striking distance, and he scrambles to his right, and he had DeMarcus Robinson. That's a pretty easy throw, and he just missed him. Yeah. That's one where I thought he's open.
I would have threw that to Tyreek.
Would you? Well,
I would.
Okay, well, he just missed him. Okay, that's a touchdown there. That was just high and wild. Like, he's looking, and he sees, I got him, and he just overthrew him. That's not the MVP of the Super Bowl and the regular season. Okay, so that was a key play, because if he makes that one, all of a sudden it's 31-16, and there's a ton of time. There's like 13, 14 minutes left, right? Okay. And then it starts to get dicey. You get one stop, you get the ball back, and all of a sudden it's 31-23. It's a 1-score game. Right? Okay, so he missed that. So then I look at what he did for the whole game, and this is fascinating to me. He throws for 9 yards in the first quarter. That was shocking to me, and that's when he missed some open, deeper throws. He threw for 58 yards in the second quarter, started to get some rhythm, but that's only 63 total yards at halftime. That's not great. And then in the third quarter, he threw for only 47 yards when it was time to step down on the accelerator, right?
Yes, because Skip, what they needed to have happen, they needed to come out of the locker room, Skip, and get a touchdown.
They did.
That's what they needed.
Okay, so he has 110 total yards passing through three quarters. Really? And by that point, it's 31-3.
It's over, though.
So guess what he did in the fourth quarter? He threw it was 12 of 21 for 156 yards in the fourth quarter and scored 0 points. How do you do that?
Right.
Well, it's because red zone. Tampa's been really tough in the red zone, man. They bow their backs. He could not get the ball in the end zone, and finally Devin White just ended it with the interception, obviously.
Right.
But my point is, 156 of his yards come in the fourth quarter, and you would call those, you have discounted those yards.
Yeah, they're empty calories.
They're just empty calories, right? Because it's already 31-9.
Yeah, it don't mean nothing.
Unless you cash that first one, then I'm not impressed.
Right.
And I wasn't impressed all night long. Okay? So I go D, but you go F. So I'll go with your F. I give him an F. I go with Professor Sharpe.
I changed your mind. Just like I said, I believe he's that good. And he missed some throws early, and the thing that he could ill afford was not let Tampa get out and get comfortable. He let them settle in. Brady got settled in. That defense really got settled in. They felt they had keys to, like, okay, this is what they like to do. JPP, front four, Skip, that front four was, think about it. Washington, with a quarterback that was studying online to get an engineering degree, scored more points than Patrick Mahomes in that offense.
Yeah. Taylor Heineke went up and down the field on that defense. He did.
He threw for 300.
Yeah, he did. They moved the football great. But that defense got better and better, and I still think it goes back to the backflip. There was raw emotion played by the defense last night because they did not want to get embarrassed by Tyreek again.
Todd put them in some great situations. He said, hey, go hunting. That's what Wade Phillips, you can play one coverage skill. When you got 4 guys that can just go get home.
Yep.
But I'm not surprised because remember, Von Miller won the Super Bowl MVP going against Mike Remmers. He was the right tackle at Carolina. People forget that. He was the right tackle.
He was.
So Shaq Barrett was on that team, even though Shaq was a special teams player. He's like, oh, okay, yeah. Guys, we can have our way with him.
Yep, I agree. Last quick point about Patrick Mahomes. This is just my 2 cents from a distance. He's going to have to play a little more conventionally going forward to be the star that everybody thinks he's going to be.
He's going to be right back next year in the Super Bowl.
Want to bet? You owe me 9 cases now.
I'm going to get it back.
2 games.
9 cases.
Did you see what happened to Saturday night?
No.
You ain't see on GOAT? That was a little precursor.
Oh,
he gave you a precursor on GOAT.
We don't even have time
when he
to talk
came up
about it
empty
right
in the
now.
fourth quarter and the first overtime,
No, he
that
didn't.
GOAT?
What about the 3, Skip? You see the 3 he did on Plumlee?
After the game was over.
He said, come here, Plumlee. I got something for you.
He was being guarded by Mason Plumlee, and you're gonna gloat about that?
No mercy.
Tampa Bay versus Kansas City. Gronkowski, he's going to score a touchdown. Holy guacamole. Rob Gronkowski's got 2 today. Is it a touchdown? Yes. Antonio Brown. Leonard Fournette takes it to the house. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Bucks win. Bucks win. Bucks win the Super Bowl.
Gronk, AB, Leonard Fournette, Tom Brady. Geez, he's got his 7th ring, guys, after completing 21 of 29 passes for just over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns without a pick. Brady was also able to avoid all but 1 sack in the 31-9 win. So, Shannon, you're up first. Please give Brady a letter grade.
Can't wait.
For his performance at Super Bowl win last.
Yeah, but this is an individual test. We're not talking about what he did in the regular season. It's not talking about what he did in the playoffs. We're talking about this with the Super Bowl. Each playoff game is an individual test. And in this test, I gave him an A. You did? I did.
He shocked me again.
Skip, he was not asked to make difficult throws. If you look at it, he only had 2 throws where he had to put the ball in the tight windows. And you said he's one of the better thrower of tight window throws. He was only asked to put the ball into 2 tight window throws. Mahomes, on the other hand, had 10 such throws.
Yep.
And so when you look at it from that point, Skip, the thing is that Tom Brady does is that he makes very good decisions. It's like, okay, y'all want to take this away? Okay, Gronk, get your 6. Okay, Cameron Brink, here's yours. Leonard Fournette, I need you right now. Boom.
Yep.
So it's no hesitation. He doesn't have to force feed. And I thought what Mahomes tried to do early, Skip, he did. He tried to get Mecole Hardman involved. He tried to get other guys involved because they were doubling. They were taking some of the big guns away, Kelsey and Tyreek. but the moment was too big for him. You could see the moment was too big for McCole Hardman because he didn't realize what was going on out there. So I gave Brady an A. The play action was working to perfection. They could run the ball with Roe Jones. They could run the ball with Leonard Fournette. And so now you can run the football just a little, the slightest of play action. And you get Gronk on the slide right wide open. You get AB, you get plays, guys making plays, Mike Evans, wide open on the over route. So, Skip, I gave him an A. He was 21 or 29. No, he didn't throw for 300 yards. They had barely over 200. But that was the cleanest. I mean, I was shocked. They put a stat up, said he had 2 incompletions back-to-back. The first time all night, but at that point in time, hell, he was 20 or 26 at that point before he had 2 straight incompletions. So by that time, he had aced it. He was just sitting in there because he didn't want the teacher to think like he knew everything. He had finished the test long time ago. Skip, you know, sometimes you in class, you know the answer, you don't finish the test, and you just sit there, you just feeling around because you don't want the teacher to think that, you know what, he think he know everything. But I was finished 15 minutes ago, lady.
I don't know that feeling. I made a lot of A's in my time, but I was overachieving. I was grinding to the buzzer.
Well, there were some classes, there were some classes, my government classes, my poli-sci classes, Skip, that I was like, yeah, I felt real comfortable with this. But I was just going to sit here. I've been done a minute, guys.
So, will wonders never cease on this show?
Whatever.
My man Shannon Sharpe just gave Patrick Mahomes an F. And my man, Tom Brady, an A for their Super Bowl performances.
I would tell you like I tell you what you say I gave Dak an F. No, he earned that F. He earned that. Okay. My homeboy earned that F, and Brady earned that A.
Okay. Well, you have one-upped me again. I gave my guy, Tom Brady, a very objective A- for his performance because I thought he missed 3 or 4 throws with overthrows that he doesn't always miss.
You're going to be cautious, Skipper, the game like this.
Okay, it's just a little over. He even threw to the 4th-string tight end. Remember the kid Hudson?
Yes,
He's in the end zone, and he's got a step.
4-7, right, yeah.
And it missed just by 6 inches off his fingertips, and it was a bit of an overthrow. I just don't know if the kid could have made the play.
Right.
It was just a little long.
Yeah.
And he was a little long on the 2 Mike Evans throws that got flagged.
Right.
And again, could have gone either way.
He had one to Chris Godwin that Chris Godwin caught, but he ended up being out of bounds.
A little too far. Just a touch too far, and Chris couldn't get his feet down in time, running backwards, basically. Okay, so just for those, I'm going to go A-. But I believe that Tom Brady is not getting enough credit for what he did in mere presence last night because he led that team from start to finish.
Yes.
Body language, calls changed at the line of scrimmage. And I give him part of the A- I give him is for getting in Honey Badger's face. I think his team needed that. His team needed to see Psycho Tom come out. And again, I thought he deserved a flag for it just as Honey Badger got the flag. But it's one of those message incidents where your teammates are saying, the 43-year-old did that?
Skip, do you realize the 4 pressures that he had on him last night was the fewest of any of his Super Bowls previously?
Okay.
4 times was the least he had been pressured in all of the Super Bowls.
Which was why, for the first time in 7, he did not need a game-winning drive in the 4th quarter overtime. This was a butt-kicking. This was a blowout. The game-winning drive, I don't know which one you want to call it. Maybe it's the one at the end of the half that puts them up 21-6. Right. But the point is, it came much earlier than the 4th quarter.
And the game was cut, Skip, because it was a blowout, the game was really never close. I thought I was going to get one of the greatest games in Super Bowl history. But the game was kind of anticlimactic. I mean, look, I picked the Chiefs, but that's not why it was like the Chiefs could do nothing. It was a lot, the penalties, I was like, more laundry on the field. And it was like, it wasn't, Skip, this is the first time that we had a Super Bowl MVP, a regular season MVP, playing against each other.
Okay, but what was your concern for Tom Brady? What led you to pick Mahomes into Chiefs with all your might? Were 3 interceptions thrown at Lambeau Field in the 3rd quarter?
I felt that they could get some pressure, but Skip, I didn't know the Spags was going to go completely away from the pressure that he just, Skip, like Todd Bowles went away from what he did. Spags went totally away. He had the pressure one time, And that you cannot let Tom Brady get comfortable, Skip.
Okay.
You know that.
So in the Super Bowl game, he didn't put up spectacular numbers, but he threw for a grand total of 0 interceptions.
Right.
One got negated by the holding.
And 3 touchdowns.
And 3 touchdowns. But the point was, even the interception Honey Badger did get that got nullified,
Right.
It was a tip ball. It just got tipped up in the air. And I didn't see him put the ball in harm's way after that.
And that's why I gave him an A. I know you talk about some of those throws, but that's what Tom is normally really, really cautious in a game of this magnitude because he realizes, Skip, turnovers, you pay a premium. He realized because he saw in 28-6, 28-3, the turnover turned this thing around. When Hightower got that strip sack on Matt Ryan, that turned everything around. So Tom knows that if I take care of the ball, there's a great chance this team, the way they're playing, they're not beating us tonight.
I'm not going to force the ball to Mike Evans. I'm not going to force it to Chris Godwin. 1 catch for 31, 2 for 9.
Right.
I'll take whatever they give me, and I will pick them to pieces, and I'll do so cleanly. Thank you very much.
He did.
No mercy. Well, stop me if you've heard this, but Tom Brady has won the Super Bowl. It is his 7th ring and first without Bill Belichick as his head coach. The Patriots missed the playoffs this season while Brady was able to add to his trophy collection in Tampa. Skip, he said this before, that Brady was 75% of the Patriots dynasty. So, Shannon, has Tom now proven that exactly?
No, it showed last night that it takes a team to win, and normally you need to have a great defense, and that's what he had. Had Tom Brady still been in New England, would you have still said he deserves 75% of the credit if they don't make the Super Bowl? We saw last night what Coach Belichick, what Todd Bowles' defense did last night for the lion's share of Tom Brady's career. He's had that in New England, a top 10 defense with outstanding that makes plays in the most crucial times. With the Malcolm Butler play, and they just know how to make plays. They had Jared Goff had a touchdown to Brandon Cooks, and the guy flies over the top. One of the McCarty brothers, Devin, the other one, Jason, knocks the ball away. Stephon Gilmore, Brandon Cooks has him, and Stephon Gilmore gets an interception. So what this tells me is that Tom Brady's been Tom Brady's great. Don't get me wrong, Tom Brady's great. You have to be great because sometimes when you're bad, you can't even overcome outstanding defensive performances if you're bad. But no, this doesn't prove anything to me. It proves that Tom Brady went to a team that was ready to win, didn't know how to win, and he brought that winning attitude. He brought guys, this is what it takes in order to win. Bruce Arians said something last night. I heard Bruce Arians talking in his press conference. He says he'll be watching film of a team that might be playing, and he'll tell the defensive guys, watch this route right here. They like to do this in this area of the field to give them something. So, Skip, I'm going to give Tom Brady some credit. Tom Brady is unbelievable. Coach, quarterback, coach. He does a lot of things well. But I'm still not ready to say that he was 75% responsible for the good that happened in New England.
And I have upped my percentage to 80%. Tom Brady was the driving force of a New England dynasty, and he is now becoming the driving force of a Tampa Bay dynasty. He got the sweetest ever revenge last night, but only on the scoreboard because he's not going to take the revenge on the podium talking to Jim Nance after the game.
Let me ask you a question. What happens if Coach Belichick get married in the next couple of years?
Well,
then what happened?
Do you see any future there?
That ain't what I asked you. He might.
What did we hear about Matthew Stafford? There was only one place he did not want to go, and that was New England.
Well, damn, it's not like Matt Stafford is taking like a boatload of championship trophies up there with him.
Bill Belichick has gotten exposed, not as a coach, not as a defensive coordinator, but as the GM of the Patriots. As a team builder, he is now Jordan-esque, as in he's terrible.
Yeah.
Michael has been, I love him to death, but he's been all-time terrible team building in Charlotte.
Yes.
So is Belichick.
Yeah.
If you track the last 10 years, the talent has gone down, 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 down. Brady rose above it as much as he could until finally he said, I'm out.
He said, but I hit on two. I hit on Gronk and
he hit on those two.
Brady.
Yeah, okay. Well,
all the rest of
that kept you afloat for a while.
But Skip, I think it's not so much his draft picks, it's the picks that you're counting on, the first and second and third rounders. He's hitting on the Amendolas. I mean, it's not Amendolas, the Edelmans.
Yep.
He hits on guys like
seventh
that.
Rounders?
Yeah, seventh rounders. I mean, he get guys like that. But it's those first round, he's like, N'Keal Harry, you have to step up, bro. You know, there's some guys that you're going to have to make some plays.
It's time for Robert Kraft to fire Belichick, the GM.
Well, you're going to have to fire him as a coach.
Do you think so?
No, absolutely.
Well, at some point, you just can't keep going south.
Skip, you can't tell the guy been cooking at this restaurant all the while. He's also been the general manager, and as he's been the head chef. And you say, you know what, we're going to take one of the jobs. As a matter of fact, we just want you to be the chef. He's like, oh, no, that's not going to work, Skip.
Okay.
You can't. It's hard. Once you give him that title, it's hard for you to fire one without firing the other.
Okay.
Because he's seeing it as, you don't think I can do what you think I can do one job, but I can't do the other.
Tom Brady has put Bill Belichick on the hottest seat in the National Football League because, as Brady said last week, we will be better next year. And I believe with all my heart and soul, they will be a little better than a Super Bowl champion that they were this year. And if they're a little better, they're not going to lose 3 in a row at home. Remember that stretch of New Orleans, Rams, and Kansas City. Right. That won't happen to this team. It will be that much better next year. It will be highly competitive in every game.
But I just, for me, I just think, Skip, you got to realize that. You will admit this. Tampa's loaded.
Okay.
They were loaded.
That's why he said, I choose Tampa.
Right.
He was way ahead of everybody.
Let me ask you a question. If Coach Belichick had that team, what do you think Coach Belichick could do with that team?
Well, he doesn't have that team because he wouldn't have that team because he can't build that kind of team as the GM.
Well, see, Skip, he wasn't.
And give Todd Light some credit, man. Yeah. Everywhere he's touched has turned to gold, right?
Well, Skip, I mean, when you keep drafting in the top 10, you better hit on some of those guys.
Well, he
got Devin White at 5. He got Vita Vea at 8. He got Worth at 10.
Yeah.
I mean, he got Mike Evans. Mike Evans was one of the top 10 picks.
Yeah, one of my favorite tweets last night, the Patriots actually tweeting, congrats to the greatest of all time.
Coach Belichick fired somebody.
They know. Yeah, I don't think Bill is running
Coach Belichick fired somebody today.
They also tweeted, Gronk, be careful with the trophy. So they had fun with this. They had fun with it all along.
No mercy.
43-year-old Tom Brady just capped off his season with another Super Bowl title and seems like he has plenty left in the tank. Brady has famously set a goal of playing until 45, but this past week said he'd consider playing even longer. Shannon, I feel like I've asked you this plenty, but realistically, how many more years does Brady play?
Well, I know he's going to play until the wheels fall off. So however long that is, Skip, is 44, 45. I know he's coming back next year. Next year, he'll be 44 years of age, and then you really, I mean, I thought 41, 42, 43 is pushing it, but you're starting to push the boundaries once you get to 44. So I'll say I'm going to be surprised if he doesn't play until he's 45, but I'm not going anything past that.
Well, last week he said, to your chagrin, I'm thinking about playing past 45.
I will give him till 45. I give him that much.
And by the way, I give you this today. You've been a very good sport on a very tough day, so way to go.
I'm going to let you have your moment. This is your day today.
I believe Tom Brady's long-term goal is to do the unimaginable, the impossible, to win 3 straight Super Bowls, which is never before done in the National Football League. So I believe at least 3 more years, but knowing him, there's nothing else that he wants to do with his life.
Right.
And if he can stay healthy, he'll stay happy because he just loves the grind of playing football.
Well, he needs to stay healthy, and he needs to keep those tackles healthy.
Yeah, he does.
So
they're young.
I don't know, Skip. 45, past 45 is asking an awful lot. That's 3 years.
But at this point, the beginning of a new dynasty, he looked so happy celebrating with his family last night. Great stuff today, guys. That's it for Undisputed. We're back same time tomorrow. Have a great day.